Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest version of Tales from Outer Space, where I take an HFY story from somewhere around the internet and read it aloud for your enjoyment. All the relevant links are down below. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTube comf to help this video and channel grow. Anyways, as always, I hope that you enjoy. I would just like to thank the following Tier 5 patrons and channel members for supporting the channel: FallenAngel, BuzzKillington, Datamagnet, and Bob the Dragon. Thank you again. And now, on to the story. Story number 1. Dayum Bro, written by Digital332006. Chancellor Chiron of the Ritian Combat looked at the application laid out in front of him with disgust. A newer species to join the galactic community, humanity, had already applied to join through to the prestigious Lbry Task Force, the Interspecies Peace Corps. They're 1,000 years too soon. The Chancellor slammed one of his 6 appendages on the desk in anger. The audacity of the application turned the Chancellor's mood sour. Very well, if they want to apply, they have the right. However, we don't have to make it easy for them. The Chancellor grinned and pressed a button that contacted his secretary. Bro, get me the Xantudian ambassador online. I have a proposal for him. Warehouse on Terra. Vadia handed his weapon to the human engineer with a bit of reluctance. The human handled it with great care, which made him loosen up a bit. The humans had accepted the Xandantian offer of a training match to prove their worth for the Lbry Task Force, but petitioned to change some of the parameters for safety's sake. The engineer's colleague came up and talked to Vadia while the others took the meter-long cylinder and brought it over to the table where the weight scale, micrometer, and other various measuring tools were laid out. All right. So we'll copy this and get it to the same size and weight, but it'll fire paint projectiles instead. Now, we won't reverse engineer how this works because your government hasn't agreed to that. But what is the rate of fire for this weapon? The engineer asked, a pad in his hand and ready to take notes. It's called a plasma torch. I modified mine to shoot every 0.78 seconds. Manufacturer recommends a flat 1-second spool up at a time, but it's only a 12% difference in power, and those 0.22 seconds make quite a difference. Plus, there's a burst auto mode that can fire 4 shots a second, but that's mostly for suppressing fire. Vadia smiled as he explained, proud of his ingenuity. He was a bit sundered that the humans forbade all automatic fire for their exercise, but realized that they had been too much at a disadvantage otherwise. Wait, are you sure? 1 shot every 0.78 seconds. The human engineer looked at him with a bit of confusion. It'll be just like the ambassador said. Very easy. To think that they can't comprehend shooting this quick. I'm certain. Now how long will this be? Asked Vadia, his arms crossed. I want to say 2 days, but 3 days should be a safer bet, replied the engineer. Vadia nodded and went to look over the human team. Their weapons were much more compact than his, but thicker as well. The humans themselves were not very imposing. Half his height and only 2 arms and 2 legs to his 4. A human made his way towards him, extending a hand. Sergeant Broden, said the human. Adjutant Vadia, he replied back. So we'll be going up against your team? Inquired Broden. Correct. I must say I admire your species' bravery, trying out for the task force so early. Who knows why our leaders want to join, but me personally, I like a challenge. I look forward to a good match, Sergeant Broden. Please, just bro. It's what everyone calls me. Broden saluted and went back to his team. 3 days later, Vadia checked his weapon and pulled down his night vision goggles. He and his team, 5 others, made their way inside the compound in the cover of darkness. The fact that this was just a training exercise did not help him calm his mind in any way. There was more pressure to perform well than if it had been a routine operation. The replica weapon in his hands felt just right, exactly the same weight as his normal one did. For the purpose of this training exercise, however, it had been replaced with one that shot out paint instead of plasma. Naturally, training exercises back home usually involve some form of laser or sophisticated systems of tracking how the shot would land, mimicking reality as closely as possible. For them, this was something new, but Vidya could see the ups and downs of using paint. It was much cheaper than the other systems, but somewhat less accurate. Vidya gathered around a small table with the rest of his team once they entered the compound. Made of some composite materials, the humans built a fake urban environment expressly for the purpose of training exercise. "Alright, listen up. We drew lots and ended up with the role of defender. This here," he pointed at a handheld digital device which displayed an overview of the area, "is a compound we must protect." "There are 2 entries?" asked one of his squad members. "Yes, we won't know which one they'll take, so we need to prepare for both scenarios. There are 2 ways we can win: if we defeat all the attackers or manage to defend for 15 minutes. "What are the rules?" inquired another member of the squad. "Conventional weapons only, no explosives, vehicles, or anything else. So this'll test accuracy, speed, and tactics." "Troop numbers are equal," put forth his second-in-command. "Yes, in order to be fair. Members will be on equal 6 on both sides. Additionally, targets need to be fatally shot to be considered down. Human anatomy means that we need to hit them in the center of their mass or their head." The sniper pointed at a location on the map. I like this position. Will let me have an height advantage where I can see across most of the compound." Vidya nodded. "I was also thinking that you could sit up there. Then we can have someone be here while another would be behind there," he said as he showed what he meant. "So, spread out so they have no safe locations and must put themselves into the line of fire in order to engage us at all." "I like it," added the second-in-command. "It's the safest plan I can come up with. There's a lot we don't know about them yet." Vidya gave the signal and all went to the positions, having a few minutes to get familiar with the layout before the attack from the humans would begin. An alarm sounded, a single loud note indicating that the clock had started and the attack had begun. The humans started off quick, splitting into 2 teams of 3 in order to enter the compound from both entries. Quick, precise shots were let out at the general vicinity of the defenders as the humans got into defensive position, forcing them into a crouch. The plasma torches replied in kind not long after, plastering the battlefield in paint. The humans maintained their position and occasionally peeked out and fired at the sniper, trying to catch him in the open. The firefight lasted a few good minutes, exchanging fire between the 2 teams quite liberally. Once the second human team managed to make some good ground, parts of the alien forces were outflanked and quickly succumbed. Vidya watched in horror as his team was cut down and found himself having no choice but to retreat deeper inside in order to try and funnel the attacks through a single entry to try and have a last stand. Hearing footsteps close in, he positioned himself in the corner, aiming at the entry. The first movement that he had noticed, that his fingers pressed quickly, splattering the human with paint. A confirmed kill. The other humans yelled at some words, and then suddenly Vidya's position was peppered by hundreds of rounds, finding him plastered by paint. "Stop! You forbade full automatic!" shouted Vidya, shielding himself with his arms. "That's not full auto," replied Brenton calmly, stopping his firing. "It's not?" asked the confused Vidya. Brenton advanced in the room and flicked the small metal lever on his weapon, aiming the rifle at the wall. This is. A visible, continuous stream of circular paintballs ripped into the wall with a satisfying crunch, which was, however, drowned out by the mechanic brrrt emanating from the gun. Vidya looked in awe and nodded solemnly. "Damn, bro. Okay." Brenton slapped a fellow soldier on the back and walked him out of the training compound. "Best 2 out of 3 then." End of story. Story number 2. Drake and Fermi, written by Eddie. Humanity. the universe's greatest explorers, the mightiest stellar empire, the unquestioned masters of all the universe. We stand atop a universe that answers to humanity, but it is lonely, far more so than a war, or even to be subjugated. We reached out to the stars as a young race. We called out to the void, and the void remained impassive. So we squared our shoulders and built. We forged empires and cities. We built stations and starships. We took command of our entire solar system. Then we called out to the void again, asking, where do we go next? Calling out for guidance on how to reach out to the other stars. The void was unmoved. So we took up our tools and built once more, crafting mighty arc ships and interstellar vessels to send people off into the distant void, to build new systems, so we could have someone to talk to out there in the void. No one ever called home. In the meanwhile, we discovered how to go faster than light, so we built probes and drones, hurling to all edges of the galaxy, calling out to the void, screaming into the blackness of space that we were here. We were ready to step on the stage of the galaxy, and we wanted someone to talk to. The void didn't even blink back at us. We expanded. We took over neighboring systems. We waged war with ourselves sometimes. But we kept going, kept looking, claiming more and more of the galaxy. Each and every time we'd call out ahead of ourselves, letting whoever was there know we were coming. Sometimes we'd get a response, a welcome back, we've been waiting. And each time we'd be excited. Each time it'd be one of the Arc ship's automated response systems. Silent. Frozen graves lost in space, greeting the creators as if they had something new to share. They never did. We mastered our own galaxy, claimed every star and planet. So we looked outwards, sending more probes and more drones out, faster and further to galaxies next to our own. We felt supreme, we ruled the galaxy. And yet we were alone. We hoped that it was just a fluke, and we'd find the galaxies next to our own to be thriving. But we were wrong. Once again, we screamed into the void, only to hear nothing back. So those galaxies we went, and to the next, and the next after that, onwards and onwards until humanity could see the very edge of the universe itself, still expanding from the Big Bang. Our species stretched from one edge of the universe to the next, in utter mastery of the entire universe, utterly alone. From the very center of the universe to any edge, humanity has dominion over everything. We rule the silent void. We rule alone. We are alone. End of story. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you do, please consider supporting the author, even by popping over and leaving a thumbs up or a nice comment, just to show your appreciation for the story. However, if you wish to support this channel, there are links down below which will help immensely. I will see you all in the next one, and until then, I hope that you have a fantastic day. Cheers.